holy hell, I did not expect what I got from this movie. The Night House. The Night House isn't a new film by any means. It was new to me, and I was looking for an interesting looking horror movie, and the photo just grabbed me. I thought it looked very interesting. And then also the kind of blurb for this movie, the very minor summary. A widow begins to uncover her recently deceased husband's disturbing secrets. And I'm going to call just a little bit of bullshit on that in the best possible way. So in this movie we're following Beth, and her husband has recently passed away. We find out it was due to suicide. And when I say recent, I mean like the opening shot is her coming home from the funeral. Like, it's very recent that this has all happened to her. And she's dealing with it. She's dealing with it herself and all of her emotions within work, her friend groups, and also she stumbles across a couple of red flags with him. So with that blurb, I thought this movie was going to set up that, you know, he was just simply cheating on her. No, he was just leading a second life in some fashion, which is true to an extent. But where this film really hit me, and I do have some bias here, because I appreciate that mental health for me, I'll put my hands up to that, as like a thing I've been around for most of my life, to these extremes. It tackles mental health and the way it's dealt with really well. Not only that, so the plot, we follow her, she comes back to school, she's getting in amongst her friend groups, and effectively she comes across his phone and sees that there's some photos on it, and there's a photo of somebody on his phone that looks like her. Now I really won't say any more. She stumbles across a lot more, because I really do feel like everybody should give this one a watch. But I'm jumping ahead of myself. Let's just backtrack a little bit. The opening is terrific. It's just slowly showing you around the house, showing you different photos and ornaments, her coming home with clearly like the funeral food. You know, the funeral food looks just distinct. She's got that, and she's straight home to drinking. But the cuts and the music aren't in sync, and I thought that was really nice. You know, it would have been very easy just to cut it in sync. The fact it was clearly offbeat, I don't know, it just kept me hooked. So the Night House in question, her ex-husband Owen was an architect, and he built that house, designed it and built it himself. Creepy things start to happen in the house. So she goes back to school, and then this entitled mum comes in because her son is just shit at school quite clearly and is taken out on the teacher. And I feel for her, because in the start of the scene, you know, her head's not with it and she's very for helping this mum out and having a conversation. But when the mum starts making her points in it and raising her problems, which are nowhere in comparison to what Beth's going through right now, Beth just snaps and becomes such a passive aggressive character in that moment, which you are 100% on her side. The mum coming in as a cow, and Beth started that scene a bit lost, a little bit zoned out, but ultimately there to help and try and do what she can. Then she's having a few drinks with a couple of her friends, and the mention of Owen comes up, and the reactions are all very different. Now Beth immediately makes some dark jokes, and it makes the room uncomfortable. I was a little uncomfortable, but at the same time, I have been that person to make the uncomfortable jokes. I don't know why. It's just fun and it is interesting, and it helps you deal with some stuff. As I said, close to my heart. Although there's a few friends in this scene, only really one friend is with her throughout the movie. You don't need a big cast. So as she's progressing through the film and stumbling across, you know, more of these secrets and exploring these secrets, it's difficult to piece it together. I'll be honest, for the majority of this movie, I thought what started off as a good setup and then was slowly becoming kind of a supernatural film. You know, there's a ghost or a spirit or something here, and he's leading a double life. I thought they'd maybe taken on too much. The actress playing Beth sells the performance in every scene so well for what the character has gone through, how she changes her attitude immediately in response to somebody who's either being a little overbearing with her. She just cannot be arsed with all the concern and the bubble wrap. That's fucking amazing. Her neighbour's great. Her neighbour shows up a couple of times when needed, and he's just the lovely neighbour. You learn just through a passing comment that, you know, Beth and Owen were there for him when somebody passed. He wants to do the same now. So everyone's dealing with things. That's it, all it needs. It doesn't spend time on it. So as the supernatural sort of issues in this film are starting to climb, you realise they fit the story's message unbelievably well. When you think back to little things that Beth has said that she didn't know Owen was suffering. You know, we learn kind of a plot point throughout the movie, which I won't spoil here, but that point kind of carries through to everything that's going on now, and face value, just some supernatural stuff, goes so much deeper into this metaphorical message about mental health, depression, suicide in a really interesting and real way. I have so much time for this movie. The sound design, not just the score and the music played, because that was great, it fit every scene as it should, but the sound design was fantastic. There's a couple generic knocks on the door to creep her out and things like that, but there's moments where the music would just drop. They were fucking amazing. The visuals in here, some of the visuals were incredible. In Two Front, there was a good few shots in this movie which just looked gorgeous. The entire movie, when it's at the house, because it's very scenic there, looks amazing. But in regards to the visuals, when it gets a bit more supernatural, you really can't look away. And this film delves into this idea of nothingness and depression, and not only coping with it, but living with it, living with people that have their own mental health issues. It's really leaning into depression here, but I thought it done an absolutely fantastic job writing, showing it, and the characters and the actors done a great job portraying it really well. Fuck, I did not expect this from that movie. As I said, the blurb of this I thought would just be a very realistic, he had a second life, maybe he's got a second family out there or something. It's not that at all. If you see The Night House anywhere, give it a watch. 100%. Make time for this movie. It's not going to be for everyone. That's the only reason I'm not going to give it a top tier rating. But make time for it. If you want something that's mysterious throughout, you're trying to work out what's going on, you could come in for purely a surface level horror movie. You'll get that and that's fine. But if you want something that does go deeper, does it in a really interesting and quite beautiful way at times, which is morbid, I know, but it is, The Night House is the movie for you. This was terrific. I'm trying to be as objective throughout this entire video as I possibly can, because I know this is quite close to home. But even with that, there's no denying that this film has something phenomenal in it here. And it's not one I've heard been talked about, which is a shame, because I really do want more people to see it. So make time for this movie. It's a mystery horror thriller, which is also thrown in some psychedelics, not psychedelics, thrown in some psychological element to it. It's a little bit of everything. But when you really start piecing together the movie, what's going on, and also the message, which seem very separate things, but when that clicks for you and they come together and you realise what all the physical things mean and everything that's happened means on a more metaphorical level, it's good. It's very good. I'm just going to leave it there and say, look, have you seen The Night House? If you have, do you agree or disagree with me? Let me know down below. If you enjoyed this video, please do consider leaving a like or subscribing. It lets me know that you want to see more of this. Thank you so much for watching.